What does it take to be the best possible version of me and you? It takes some consistency, my friend. Always, always, always. My name is Turab. I make videos about emotional intelligence and personal development every single day. My goal is to improve humanity's emotional intelligence. And the reason that I'm trying to do this is because I realize that technology is going to lap us very, very soon, if it hasn't already. And what does that mean? We're basically going to become obsolete in the sense of being the apex creature on this planet in some sense. I've been doing a lot of research in AI in general. I've been doing a lot of research in terms of the new technologies that are coming along, reading a lot of books, and I know for a fact that in fact, the vast majority of society has not been equipped for technology in the last 10 years, and it will sure as hell not be equipped for technology in the next 30. Now, if you have some controversial opinions, throw me a comment. But honestly, when it comes down to it, what is the thing that makes humans satisfied? What is the thing that makes humans actually useful in the ecosystem? At the end of the day, we are the shepherds to a degree of the nature around us, because the trees don't move. Animals move, sure, but they don't have the foresight that we do necessarily. And AI in general, and all the technologies that are coming out, perhaps also don't have that foresight. They can predict based on the past what is possible, but what is possible in the future, now that is for dreamers and creatives, for humans in general. And so I'm advocating very strongly for becoming the very best version of ourselves, because at the end of the day, if we can do that, then we can actually be useful to humanity in terms of moving forward. So how do I do this? How do I try consistently to improve my limits, to try to break past things in life? Well, to me, it's consistently a cycle of trying to build more and more discipline in life. If I can build a more disciplined me, I can probably achieve much more, and I can probably feel a lot better about myself and make a lot more opportunities for the people around me. For instance, today, I had spent the last week being a little lazy. And a little lazy for me tends to be different comparatively to other people, but lazy nonetheless means that I have not necessarily executed all of the little things that I've wanted to do, and days like this on a Sunday fall on me to reflect again and make sure that I wake up, that I'm cleaner, that I am more efficient, that I am checking in with myself, that I am setting new goals up, or improving old goals, setting systems up that are actually going to be useful to me. So I say to you that when you have these cycles, when you have this repair and pushing, and that there is a sense that you could be doing more, use it. Use it to a degree to say to yourself very seriously, hey, like, wake the fuck up. Seriously, wake the fuck up. You know there's things that you can be doing. You know that you have the ability to do it. You've shown yourself in the past, and if you haven't, show yourself now that you can do those things, and then act on it. Really act on it, and just hold yourself accountable to your own goals. When we align what we're doing with who we are, everything tends to become a lot easier for us. A lot of those kind of the things that we believe we can't do, a lot of those doubts in general tend to become minuscule in comparison to what is possible, tend to become minuscule in terms of what is our future self. There is a book that I read recently, and it said something along the lines of, we as humans tend to disconnect ourselves from our future selves. We believe that that's someone else. It's very difficult for us to assume that this body is going to exist beyond this moment, and that limits us. That limits us tremendously, because for those of us that don't have that future vision, don't have the storyboarding, the systemizing, the strategizing to actually make it possible to become that better version of ourselves, we are locked in the now, the here and now, which is cool, really cool, but we will get lapped just like all the other species that are acting here and now. Will we get lapped regardless? Probably, but at least we can put up a fighting shot. Wanting to win is not as strong as not wanting to lose, right? The reason is because at the end of the day, if it is a fight, if there is a circumstance where we need to pick a side, right? The side of being like all the other animals and fading off the existence of the universe, or the side of being the stewards that perhaps humans were always meant to be, then we need to realize that not whatever side we pick, and hopefully it's the steward side, if we pick the steward side, it is worse to not hit our minimum expectations than it is to get to the nth degree. You understand? Like the amount of pain and anxiety and torture, destruction that's going to come with us not meeting our minimum standards is a lot worse than the stress and the anxiety and the difficulties of trying to pursue the nth degree standard. So I say to you, meet your minimum standards in life for yourself. Meet your damn minimum standards, because when you start going to the other side of that, life gets fucking miserable, and you don't want that. And at some point in your life, you get to a minimum standard that you've never been to before. That's your minimum standard tends to be at some point in life. If we decide to push past our barriers and move and become really cool people, really the best versions of ourselves, our minimum standards tend to be far greater than what we were capable of doing at our maximum years before. And so that means that it's no longer acceptable to be that person that we were before. It's no longer acceptable to be at that level because it's below our minimum standard. So I say to you, to a degree, keep pushing that minimum standard up. But if you find yourself on the line of that minimum standard, you better figure out what the hell you need to do to get past that line, otherwise you will be miserable. And that is one of the biggest plights of self-development that happen in a human life. And I think it's one of the things that is actually the barrier to entry into being the best versions of ourselves, is saying that I'm okay with being at my minimum standard. I'm okay with being less than my minimum standard. That's when life becomes hopeless. That's when we don't want to wake up in the morning. That's when all the bad shit that we used to do years before is totally acceptable. And here's my thing, right? I'm not saying that when life gets difficult and it tries you, that it's not okay to be there for a second. But you'll feel the pull. You're gonna feel the pull. And when you feel that pull, you better go to it. You better go to that winning side. And so when it comes to the development of our emotional intelligence, our ability to feel out the things but also logic out the things, basically the combination between our willingness to categorize and knock out the things that we need to do, and also be completely emotionally sound in terms of who we're around, our love life, our impact on our community, how we feel around ourselves. The balance of that is emotional intelligence. The balance of that is emotional intelligence. So the key is to continue to build these two sides of that emotional intelligence spectrum, and then to become more, to stack it as we move forward. And so how do I build the logical side? I watch the logical people. I follow people that I believe have good logic. And I consistently try to break open my conception of what is true. Adam Grant's book, Think Again, was a phenomenal way for me to remember that a lot of these things that we believe are true in life tend to change. And we're okay, we're allowed to change. And we're allowed to say, hey, we're not necessarily on the right path. But when it feels right inside, you know, your intuition's telling you to move forward to something, you know that's the thing to do. So the thinking again is incredibly important, right? To be able to recreate our vision again and again in our head, and to be able to parse out exactly what we need to do in order to get a little bit closer, right? The logic side, we need to have the ability to take in more and more differing opinions, different facts, different data. We need to increase our capacity to hold data to a degree. And we need to be okay with getting rid of things that don't work, that don't make sense in our scheme of things. And that happens with time and experience. In the emotional sense, the way that I try to build that is try to make sure that when I'm feeling lonely, or when I'm feeling like I need to spend some time with people, that I give myself that time. And sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's too little. But again, it's a conscious effort to try to improve that part of myself. It's a conscious effort to say to myself, what is the balance between soothing, to say, okay, you know, you've had a shit day, and it's okay to sit around for 10 minutes and just reflect. Okay, you've had a really crazy week, you know, maybe you should spend some time with your family. What is the limit between that and saying to ourselves, oh, I need a whole 3 ass days off, I need a whole week off, I can't go to work, you know? Where does that line start to intersect? Where's that minimum standard breached in that emotional well-being? We need to be aware of that. We need to be very aware of that. And what is the difference? What is our capacity to say to ourselves, no, you're being a fucking idiot. No, you're being completely irrational, and you just need to go and buck up. Like, life is like this sometimes. Move on. You know, this is a small thing. Right? To baby ourselves versus being our coach. Now that's key here, because our best friends, the voice that we want inside of our head, it should be both. It should be both, and it should be wisely applied. But again, we need to build out both sides. We can't baby ourselves all the time, otherwise we're not going to end up moving along that minimum standard. And if we consistently coach ourselves and are assholes to ourselves, then oftentimes we're not even going to want to be around ourselves. And that's also a very scary thing, because I think most of us spend a lot of time in solitude before going to bed. And hopefully, as technology evolves, we'll be spending more time in solitude rather than less time. But anyway, that is my message to you for the day. Hopefully it finds you well. Hopefully there is something inside of you that is inspired and wants to continue pushing to be that best version of yourself. I've woken up many times in my life, my friend, and I have not even cared about waking up. And every time that happens to me these days, I think to myself, what the fuck am I doing wrong? There's something that I'm doing wrong. I need to fix this in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, I'm going to go down a very, very bad path. So, actualize your potential catalyst, because this world fucking needs you. Take care of yourself. Peace.